Sorry, folks, I had a delay. But now and then 7 years later, in 2017, overtime was cut down to 10 minutes from 50 minutes. And guess what? In 2022, because of the Bills Chiefs 13-second game, the league changed the rule again. Now in the postseason, both teams have a chance to score, even if the team scores an opening touchdown. Well, guess what? And now it applies in the regular season. Based on Sport Radar, last year, 6 of the overtime games played concluded on an opening drive touchdown. The most overtime games ending on the first drive, considering the procedure change, went into execution in 2010. In the end, for the 2025 season, to coincide with the postseason, the NFL decided that now both teams will get possession of the ball, even if the squad that handles the ball first obtains a touchdown. So, Joe, while it may make the game more exciting, it probably could create more wear and tear on the players and make overtime longer with the score in the end. Do you also think the game could cause more ties if both offenses just keep scoring and then the clock runs out and it's still tied and the game in a tie because there's a tie in the regular season?
Yeah, I kind of liked it the way it was, the way it just was, where, you have to score a touchdown first in order to win the game. A field goal is not good enough. And I wish they would play 15 minutes again. Now, here's what I really wish they would do. And I ask this all the time. Why can't they just do this like college football? I love the college football overtime. I mean, you start at the opposing 25-yard line, you get what you can get. Then the other team gets the ball at the opponent's 25-yard line. They get what you can get, and we see what happens. I don't understand why the NFL can't do that. But I thought they had it right in the regular season anyway before. The only thing that wasn't right was I thought it should be 15 minutes still, not 10.
Mm-hmm. But the reason why they did it, though, Joe, is because what was happening is like the Josh Allens or the Patrick Mahomes. It was like the minute they got the ball first, you knew they were going to score a touchdown and the game was over and not kick a field goal. So now it's like they want to prevent that from happening. They want to give the other team at least a chance to match the Mahomes or Allen score,
Yeah, and I understand that. And certainly, if anybody was to argue for that, I get it. Especially, I mean, they have to have that in the playoffs for sure. But I guess we'll see what happens, and we'll see if it does cause more ties, and if they're tracking that. So I guess we'll have the stats on it in the next year or two. But again, I'm not going to argue against it. I like the fact that both teams get the ball, but hopefully it doesn't cause more ties because then I wouldn't like it as much. And then again, if it does, maybe again you can move that time frame to a whole quarter again, like it used to be.
Yeah, 15 minutes where both people get the ball. Or remember college, you know what I really like about college where they both get the ball, but in the third overtime, they alternate 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool about the UFL? They start at the 25, but they just go right to alternating 2-point conversions until somebody wins. That's how I think the NFL should do it. Go right to the 2-point conversion. It's like the hockey version of the shootout,
I would not have a problem with that at all.
And that would eliminate ties, which is good. That's why college does it that way, so it eliminates ties.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're going to talk about another rule too. What's new with the dynamic kickoff? As expected, the league was very happy with the dynamic kickoff put in place last season. The league saw an increase in return rates from a record worst 21.8% in 2023 to 32.8% last year. Plus, it cut down on the injuries previously deemed the game's most hazardous play. The rule adjustment made kickoffs more like a traditional scrimmage play, where there's more strategy to it, and special teams coach can kind of scrimmage it up like an offense or a defensive coordinator, and they line up like the old electric football, Joe. That was in your day in the 80s
Right.
where you line up the electric football and you push the button. Do you
Yep.
notice that's how they line up in this dynamic kickoff, like electric football?
That's interesting. I never thought about that, but as someone who used to play electric football, I agree.
Mhm. But here's why they changed it. What they basically did was they just said the touchback's going to be at the 35 now instead of the 30 like in the UFL, so it actually incentivizes the return and not just blasting it into the end zone. Because Joe, think about it, blasting into the end zone now and you start at the 35, that totally like changes like how defensive coordinators have to scheme up on defense. Because if you try to play soft coverage at the 35, they could already be at midfield in 3 plays. So it could mean you have to fly to the ball more in stopping the run, or you have to call more blitzes like that. So it's gonna incentivize returning it, and they may actually start off with worse field position by returning it instead of kicking it into the end zone where they get it at the 35. So anyway, last year many teams still chose to boot the ball into the end zone, which meant the starting field position on a touchback was just 2.4 yards further than the average starting position. The league surmises that the return rate will ascend again between 60 and 70%. This may lead to more returns and create more action-packed plays. So, Joe, do you think that the kick returners or kickers will try to kick the ball into the end zone to start the ball at the 35-yard line, or do you think they'll do what I do and may actually let them return it?
I think it depends on how good the returner is. If you have, excuse me, somebody who is really causing issues for opposing defenses and is returning a lot of kicks for touchdowns or things like that, I think it might be worth it just to kick the ball into the end zone and give it to him ball at the 35-yard line. It's like if Aaron Judge keeps hitting home runs against you, what do opposing pitchers do, right? They just automatically put him on first base. So if you have an excellent returner here, and again, you think that it's a worse chance of a loss to have this returner come against you and score a touchdown against you, may be worth it just to kick it into the end zone and have him take it out at the 35. But if that's not the case, then definitely dare them to come out with it. I'm just curious as what the NFL is thinking here, only because I wish they'd make up their mind. Like, seems like just 2 or 3 years ago, they were trying to eliminate the kickoff completely. Oh, there's too many injuries and this and that, and kickoff was going to go away. Then they tried to bring it back in a little bit last year, and now they try to bring it back this year. Now, believe me, I'm more in favor of what they're doing now, and I think the kickoff has always been an exciting play, and I think it should be part of football. But it's weird how 2 or 3 years ago they were trying to get rid of it completely, and now all of a sudden it's like they're trying to make it a big part of the game. So just make up your mind. But I think after they see how it's going to work this year, I think they will make up their mind and keep it the way it is now.
Well, Joe, guess what? That was another magical rule they took from the UFL, the XFL. Remember, that's why they did it this way.
I remember you saying that last year. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, I mean, I'm sure you agree with the rule as well, right?
Yeah, why I like it is because, like I said, less collisions, more returns, but there's more strategy to it than just, the traditional kickoff. Like, you really have to strategize how you're going to kick it. And like I said, you're already seeing that Brandon Aubrey and some of these other kickers, they're putting the ball on the tee sideways. It's like a form of a squib kick to try to, to prevent him from returning it and having him start inside the 20 or whatever. Because a Michigan Panthers kicker by the name of BT Potter did the same thing last year with this type of kickoff.
Yeah, and you may see more kickers try to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what about onside kicks?
There was no rule change with that since last year, right?
There is a rule change, and it's for the better.
Go for it. I want to hear about this. I didn't know.
It's revert to the old rule, and I'll tell you about it. You're gonna like what it is, and a lot of fans are gonna like this too. Due to the unique lineup, teams are still gonna have to announce their purpose when attempting an onside kick. That's not changing. They're still gonna have to announce that they're gonna do it. However, though, this is the big one that everybody was upset about that they're going back to now. The league will revert back to the previous rule of allowing teams to declare onside kicks at any point of the game before the fourth quarter, not just allowing it only in the fourth quarter. As the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, remember they had to kick it deep while trailing by 28 in the third because they couldn't declare. This year they would be allowed to declare if that happened.
Okay.
You'll like that at least. You still have to announce it, but at least you can do it at any point in the game now, not just the fourth quarter.
All right.
So they went back to the traditional rule of that. And the coverage players will be permitted to line up one extra yard closer to increase their recovery chances. Right now, onside kicks are only about they're only about like 7% recovered, but they want to try to get it up to 10 with these rules. And but Joe, you know what I'm a favor of, the fourth down play. Remember in the UFL, the 4th and 12 scrimmage play, and just get rid of the onside kickoffs. And the NFL, they're actually proposing a 4th and 20. That's really long, but we'll see how that would work, you know?
Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
But anyway, they could get up from 7 to 10%. See, what's funny is you would think onside kickoff attempts would go up because if you think about it, the way they're lining up now to do this dynamic kickoff, it's like lining up in an onside kick. That's
right. That's true.
It. So anyway, the coverage. So Joe, what do you think about the league going back to allowing the teams to kick an onside kick at any point during the game, not just in the fourth quarter, but before the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I love it. And I think that might get the percentage up a little bit. I would rather it go back completely to the old way where they don't even have to announce it. But I guess we'll take this as a positive step and at least giving teams, again, more than a 7% chance of recovering an onside kick.
See, the reason why they say no, but they say that they have to announce it now because of the way this kickoff's
right. Okay, I get it.
That's why.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now I'd like to turn it over to you, Joe, so we could talk about the season acquisitions, cuts, and the off-season additions. Joe?
Yeah, now, on our show, we're going to be looking forward in a few minutes here and making our game-by-game predictions for the Bills. But I felt like it would be a good idea to reflect a little bit in the last few months here on some of the, key off-season moves, either guys that were lost or guys that were gained. So, I'm going to ask you first now, what do you think, and you don't have to limit this just to one, but what do you think were some of the more significant off-season moves, either plus, adding a player or losing a player or both?
Let me think. I think losing a player, I hate to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Kaiir Elam. You know why? Because I've been remember how he was struggling with the Bills and everything, and he wasn't getting a lot of playing time, and he ended up going to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dallas, I was watching him in the preseason, and they were actually giving him starting reps at corner, and he looked pretty good. So Elam, I think, is a guy that I told you, if you give him more reps and you actually let him play, he's a good corner. We didn't let him do that in Buffalo because he got beat out by Benford. We had so many other guys that he never had a chance to recover. And plus with Maxwell Harrison hurt for the first 4 games, and now with Trey White, but things like that. For additions, though, what I love what we did is both sides of the ball. Offensively, we got Josh Palmer, but I think we may have gotten him for free because we're paying him to be a number one receiver. And you know how the number one receiver market uses like $100 million. We only got him for like 3 years, $29 million, and that's way below market value for a number one receiver. But if he plays like a number one, you could say we got him without basically spending a pretty penny. And the same thing with the defense. The defense, we didn't have to blow our salary cap by giving out huge contracts. Well, to free agents, like I said, we only gave Joey Bosa a 1-year deal. If he plays well, that's great. If not, it's like, well, it was only a 1-year deal. And then Maxwell Harrison, even though he's hurt, he's on a rookie contract. TJ Sanders and Deion Walker look like studs as rookies already. You can't miss Deion Walker. He's a mountain of a man. And we say that. And TJ Sanders is a little, he's more of a taller, lighter defensive, but really athletic, quick defensive tackle like an Eric Donald or an Ed Oliver, and he's fast in the backfield at least. So, and he was playing out of position. At South Carolina, he was playing nose tackle in a 3-3-5, even though he was undersized. And I think he's better fit for a regular defensive tackle in a 4-3. So.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I thought the Bills played it very smart during the preseason, and you mentioned that too. You know, again, with the contracts that they offered here and the free agent situation. What I really liked is the status quo, right? Several contract extensions, anywhere from Josh Allen, Shakir, Greg Rousseau, Christian Benford, Terrell Bernard. They restructured Ed Oliver, for cap space. So I think they made some very sound financial decisions here and just keeping a lot of the core, again, on both sides of the ball here, keeping this window open. And I was very happy with those early moves they did, for that. Even with James Cook. Now, I'm not going to say I exactly agree with what they spent for him, but, they did it as smartly as possible, I guess. And now, they have his services here. And again, he's been one of the best running backs here that they've had in a very long time. It's some tough losses. And again, I wasn't as disappointed as the loss of Elam. They're not the Buffalo Sabres where teams leave and go win championships. So hopefully that doesn't happen in this case. And kudos to him if he does play well with the Cowboys. Sad to see Mac Hollins go, but they have, a lot of depth at wide receiver. Von Miller, it was his time to go. He made some solid contributions when he was with the Bills, but again, I think it was his time. So, and I think the additions they made were smart, like you said. Smart contracts here. Getting Josh Palmer and Joey Bosa at the cheapest prices that they can get them at. So I was very happy too. Even going back to the draft, I think they made some smart drafts. I thought they needed a defensive back first. And they ended up with that. Again, they're not going to have him available for a while, and it may take them a little bit while to get going after that too. We'll see. But I still think that was a smart move as well. So, definitely, I always say, whether I agree with the moves or not, I completely trust Brandon Beane and Bills management when they make these moves. And I think after this offseason, I think we can definitely still, if not even more, feel that way and trust the management team that the Bills have here. So, very happy with that.
And you know what? I also like, Joe, what do you think of the Bills bucking the trend of, how a lot of teams aren't really paying running backs a second contract and running backs are a dime a dozen. I think they felt like this guy they had to pay because he was a good back and it was worth it. And I don't think they wanted to start over with another back,
No, I'm sure they did not. And again, I'm not going to say that, I was thinking, oh, come on, what are they, stupid? They can't do this. I wasn't thinking that. I mean, like I said, I wasn't quite sure that it was the right move. But like I just said, you got to trust Bills management, and I certainly do. And I'm going to go with that decision. So, and now again, now the decision's made, and here you go. You got one of the better running backs in the NFL running for your team here. So,
And the good news is it was at what the running back should be paid now. It wasn't like remember Ezekiel Elliott in 2019 when he got like 90 or 100 million. At least it was 4 years, 48 million, and which I think that's a fair value for a running back like him now. And even Kyron Williams was 3 years, 33 million. So I mean, like I said, at least now they're paying them at fair market value, not salary cap crippling value, which is good.
exactly. And again, another reason you can trust the moves that they make.
Mhm.
So, very happy about that. But that's it. Anything else? Any comments about the?
Yeah, I'm gonna I like what they did building young on the going with the youth movement on defense because of if you watch the preseason game against the Bears, Joe, Greg Olson said the Bills are following a notable trend. This has been happening the last few years in the NFL when you got a superstar quarterback like a Mahomes or an Allen, or even when you have a Matthew Stafford who's aging. What you do is you go young and cheap at defense. You build like a young generational defense that's going to be good for a long time.
Mhm.
And it protects your young quarterback. And they said the Chiefs did that in 2023, where, like I said, they had growing pains with it, and they won the Super Bowl doing that method, going with a younger defense and cheap to build around Mahomes. And look at the Rams, even though they got Matthew Stafford, they said he's an aging quarterback. What are we going to do? Build a young defense, and look at how good that defense was. So the Bills are doing the same thing this year, saying, hopefully we can win a Super Bowl like Kansas City did by building a young, cheap defense to help protect our quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And I call it keeping the window open too. I commented, to people I talk to on a regular basis. I commented on this show a couple of years ago, season 1, that I thought the Bills window was closing. And we're going to go through our game by game predictions in a minute here. And you'll see based on what I say that I feel like that window is opening wider again. The Super Bowl window, of course, that I'm talking about here. So I think they're definitely going in the right direction. And I agree with what you're saying there as far as, going with that philosophy and making those moves. And I think that they're definitely strengthening themselves and giving them even a better chance here to win that I didn't think they were going to have at this point, when we talked a couple of years ago.
Part of it too is I think a couple of years ago, Joe, is remember we were a lot of guys were aging and getting older, but we were doing it on purpose. We were keeping a lot of our older, high-priced guys, and then in 2023 we had salary cap problems. But the good news is Brandon Beane each year found a way to reset it. And right after it was 2023 when we let go of Trey White and Poyer and everything, we got rid of the veterans and we replaced them we reset the salary cap with younger generational players. And that's what really helped save last year too. And same thing we did this year. We could have chose to put ourselves in the cap hell again, but we didn't. We reset the cap by signing cheaper, cost-effective signings and everything. So, like I said, Brandon Beane has gotten better each year with managing the cap than when he first came here, and even into 2021, it's better cap management than we had even a couple years ago.
Right. And it's like we just said too, even when they're making a big signing, like Palmer or like, Bosa, they didn't break the bank to do that. And he did it at very smart prices. So, definitely give him credit. And again, the whole management team credit for putting themselves in this position and still maintaining that excellent chance to win. So
Same did with Trey White and Dane Jackson. We brought them back for a year.
right.
So,
Now,
Mhm.
did they send Dane Jackson packing today?
yeah, I think he's probably going to go on the practice squad, though. You need 16 guys now on the practice squad. It's a bigger practice squad now with 17 games and more injuries. You need it makes sense to have a bigger practice squad.
Okay. But still, that was definitely a good move. So, all right, you want to take out, dust off the crystal ball and start talking about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go first, Joe, if you don't mind, and then you can give yours. All right.
All right.
Okay, so we start out, but here's the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule prediction, the farewell season at the current Highmark Stadium. So, week 1, Sunday, September 7th, we open up the last opening day game ever at this current Highmark Stadium on Sunday Night Football at 8:20 p.m. on NBC, home against the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Bills actually squeaking that game out. No revenge for the Ravens from last year. Maybe another Mark Andrews drop. I don't know. But anyway, I got the Bills squeaking this one out. Josh Allen wins it over Lamar Jackson again, 28-21.
Ooh, okay. Now you
Joe,
put
what about
scores here.
yours?
I did not put scores down for these, but I agree with you. I was thinking and going to say the same thing here. I think this one goes down to the wire. Now, you got it 28-21. I have it closer than that. I have, I'll give an exact score next week because, we usually predict the upcoming game. So I'll give you an exact score next week. But I could see the Bills winning this game by 2 or 3 points. But I do see the Bills winning in week 1 and starting off 1-0. Against the Ravens here.
Mm-hmm. Remember, our defense might have growing pains, but they're going to get better throughout the season. But this is the same offense that's going to score a bunch of points like last year, I think.
We'll see. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game, too. I could see this going like, I don't know, 34-31 or something like that. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored here.
I think that's going to be a theme every week. The Bills are going to score a ton of points. It's just a matter of what the young defense does. And now speaking of that, we go into Sunday, September 14th, 1:00 p.m. at the New York Jets. No longer led by Robert Saleh. Gone is Aaron Rodgers, but coming in is Mr. Aaron Glenn as head coach, and Justin Fields at cornerback. I think we're going to spoil. I do think the Jets are going to be a better team. I like Aaron Glenn, like Justin Fields, but it's Buffalo on this day, baby. I got him winning 35-14.
Oh, wow. All right. Now, again, we got to say here, too, some of these are subject to change, right? We're going to give these predictions now. And, of course, things happen during the season. And when I know I've changed my mind before, perhaps you have, too. So I have this being a very close game going into like halftime. But then I have the Bills taking it away second half and winning by about 10. Again, don't have an exact score yet. But I see the Bills winning this game by about 10 points and starting the season 2-0.
And that's an important thing to remember. This is like I said, this is going to be a much improved Jets team, even if the record doesn't show it, because it's only year 1 against Aaron Glenn. But I think Aaron Glenn, I know the Jets fans say it every year, but I think he finally may be the guy that gets him at least in the right direction, I feel.
Yeah, I have no ties to the Jets, and I always give this team much more credit than it deserves. Remember when we were talking about our NFL predictions overall? No, actually, we were talking about on the Bills predictions. I predicted the Jets to win the division. And why I'm admitting this, I don't know. But I did predict the Jets to win the division last year, and obviously that didn't happen. I'm not predicting them to win in the division this year, but I am saying they are going to be right on that playoff bubble. And when we talk about our NFL predictions next week, I don't think I have them making the playoffs unless I change my mind by next week. But I think they're going to be in the hunt and very close.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, when you get rid of the drama that's Aaron Rodgers, the first thing you do is Aaron Glenn, because Aaron Glenn's a guy that's not gonna. You could tell right away he's a guy that's not gonna take that crap. That's why he got rid of him.
That's right.
So, anyway, we move on to week 3. We both have the Bills at 2-0 right now. Week 3, Thursday, September 18th, 8:15 p.m. And it's Thursday Night Football on Prime. It's on. As the Bills take on, we don't know what the heck the Miami Dolphins are right now. Are they coming or going? Is Mike McDaniel going to be on the hot seat? Could they go 6-11, potentially be in the hunt for a quarterback in a class next year that could have 4 or 5 quarterbacks going in the first round? Is Tua going to stay healthy? But I think because this game's in in Buffalo, I think the Dolphins always play the Bills close. I got a wild prediction. I'm going to say the Bills are going to win 34-27 in overtime.
Wow. Okay. Now, I am not giving the Dolphins much credit this year. In fact, I think they come in last in the division. And I think the Bills are pumped for Thursday Night Football. The whole country's watching. I think the Bills have a much easier time winning this game. I could see them winning this game by 20 points, to be honest with you. And again, pretty much everything you said about the Dolphins is true. McDaniels is going to be on the hot seat, and I don't even think he makes it through the season, to be honest with you. I don't think Tua makes it through the season. So I think the Dolphins are going to have a struggle a lot this season. And, I don't know if those struggles are going to be happening by week 3, but I still see the Bills winning this game pretty soundly.
So we got 3-0. Then on Sunday, September 28th, my parents and I will be going to this game. It'll be our last game that we're going to at the current Highmark Stadium before we go across the street in 2026 to the new building. And we're going to be coming on 10 days rest. The Bills usually do very well with that. We're taking on a rebuilding New Orleans Saints team that isn't going to be that great, but I think they're like 3 or 4 years away from being good with Kellen Moore. They do have Spencer Rattler starting at quarterback, but I don't think he's going to even make it through the season. I think eventually they're going to go to Tyler Shough. I have the Bills winning this game easily, 41-7.
Okay. Now, this is something, as I look into the crystal ball here, I could see the Bill. I really think the Saints are going to be the worst team in the NFL. Honestly, I think they're going to get the first pick overall. Again, if I had to pick a worst team in the league, I think it's them. I think the Bills, though, sleepwalk. They remember how last year they sleepwalked through a few games. I remember, against, I think it was last year against the Cardinals, but I know it happened against the Titans, and they kind of sleepwalked through the first half. And you're thinking to yourself, they're not seriously going to lose this game, are they? And I think the same thing happens in the first half. They start slowly, they play sloppy, and then, then they take it away in the second half and win by a couple of touchdowns. So they don't lose this game, but it ain't pretty in the beginning, in my opinion. But still, now we're talking 4-0.
Mm-hmm. And I think they make it 5-0 with another Sunday night game at 8:20 p.m. Sunday, October 5th, against the Mike Vrabel, the alpha man, Mike Vrabel led New England Patriots. I think the Bills win this game. I think it's going to be a crazy shootout between Allen and Drake May. And I think the Bills are going to win 42-32 and move 5-0 on the year.
All right. Now, we know the Patriots are going to play tough with Vrabel. And I think this is going to be one of those games where the Bills do show up and they play very well. but so do the Patriots. And I think it's going to be one of those back and forth games there. I could see the Bills winning this game by about 6, give or take. A very hard fought game where the Patriots give them a scare, but I think the Bills take it eventually, again, within a touchdown. And we're off to a 5-0 start.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is where I have the Bills losing their first game, Monday, October 13th, on the road, Monday Night Football at Atlanta. Something tells me this is one of those games where it's a Monday night game. They're coming off a nice win against New England, but I think it's a game where it's back and forth. It shouldn't be a game. I think Michael Penix Jr. shines on Monday Night Football. Atlanta's a tough outing on offense, so their defense is a work in progress with Raheem Morris. Even though Raheem Morris he's on the hot seat this year, I have the Bills losing 33-30 in Atlanta.
Ooh, okay.
And well, I guess 5-1.
5-1. So we should remind our audience that Jamie and I do not discuss these predictions before we come on this podcast. But we are thinking along the same lines exactly here, because I also have the Bills losing this game. Again, a lot of things adding up, playing some tough games beforehand. And playing in Atlanta is no easy task. I don't think the Falcons are a playoff team, but they're one of those teams that are going to be hard to beat, especially in Atlanta. And this is right before the Bills bye, too. So I think they're going to know that, and that's going to be in the back of their mind. And I just think you have them losing by 3. I got them losing by maybe, 7-10 here. I think, it's close early, and then the Falcons take it away. Like the Bills, I said, we're taking it away a few games later, and I think it's going to happen here. So I see the Falcons winning by anywhere between 7-10, and Bills' first loss going into the bye.
So we got 5-1. And the bye week, we don't have to worry about that. That's an automatic win anyway. Anyway, they stay on the road, and they stay on the road, and they also stay in the NFC North, and they travel to Charlotte to take on Brandon Beane and McDermott's former squad, the Carolina Panthers, on the road. Now, the Panthers are a team, like I said, they've been steadily rebuilding, but they've gotten better each year. And I think Dave Canales did a really good coaching job last year, getting Bryce Young to play well at quarterback after Benjamin going 5-12. Carolina could be a tough outing this year. They're not going to be an easy pushover, especially in Charlotte. I could see them winning possibly 7-9 games, but I think this is a game where it's close, and then the Bills take over and their defense shuts down Carolina's offense. I got the Bills winning 42-21.
All right. Now, this is one of those games. The Bills, especially, since Sean McDermott's been coaching, have been excellent coming out of the bye. And they're going to be coming off a loss, having 2 weeks to think about it. Again, I agree with you. Carolina is going to be much improved this year. I honestly see the Bills winning in a blowout here. You said 41-21. I could see this being like 41-7 or something like that. I really think the Bills come out to play here, especially coming off the bye. They're so good at that. And just hit, Carolina doesn't know what hit them. I see the Bills winning in a blowout victory here.
Mm-hmm. After Carolina, it's the big one, folks. Sunday, November 2nd, 4:25 p.m. We got those big bad, the team in red, the Kansas City Chiefs, once again coming to Buffalo in a revenge game once again. And I think the Bills do what they always do, beat them in the regular season. I think they're going to go 6-1 in the regular season, even with this is the first Bills Chiefs game with Allen with Allen and Travis Kelce, now tying the knot, or going to be, hopefully, like you said, Josh already tied the knot, but Travis and Taylor are engaged to them, and it always goes back to them with Kansas City. And I think the Bills win this one 31-21. I got them going 7-1 on the year, and they're 6-1 against Mahomes in the regular, or against Kansas City in the regular season.
All right. Well, this is our first result disagreement here. I think, again, both teams show up as they always do to play this game. Except I think it's funny because I think things are going to go a little differently at the end of the season this year. But for this game, I think things are going to go a little differently here. You know, the script has been the same. The Bills win and beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and then it comes out, you know, the opposite later on. I really think this time the Chiefs win in the regular season. In fact, you said 31-21 Bills. I could see the Chiefs winning 31-21 in this game. You know, even though, again, the Bills don't play poorly, but I think the Chiefs really show up and want to take this game, and they do. So I now have the Bills. What'd you say? 7-1, right? So
no, that would be 8-1 for me now.
Okay. So I have the Bills with their second loss here.
You'd be 7-2.
5-1, 6-1, 6-2.
6-2.
And you got him. Yeah, and you got him 7-1.
7-1. Yep.
Okay.
And then next week, soon to be 8-1, as I'm actually going to be going to this game in Miami as well. As my family and I, we're going to be stopping at Cocoa Beach, Florida, to see my aunt and uncle and my cousin there, and we're all going to be and his cousin from my aunt's side, and we're all going to be going to Hard Rock Stadium and sitting on the 50-yard line watching this game. And I think the Bills, the Bills win this one in a blowout. And I think they go to 8-1 on the year. I got them winning 38-14. And I think Quinn Ewers is starting this game by the time we go. I don't think Tua's starting this game.
Right. We were talking about the mess that I think the Dolphins are going to be, and maybe they won't be that mess by week 3. But I think by now, this will be week 10?
10, yeah.
I think now this is where, you know, we see the mess, and the coach is on the hot seat, and Tua's probably not even in there. So, again, I have the Bills sweeping the Dolphins and, you know, taking care of this game pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So 8-1, and you got 7-2. So, and I think Sunday, November 16th at 1:00 p.m., the Bills travel back up north, and it's going to be probably 50 degrees and crisp or sunny against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield showdown. I think this game is close in the beginning, but I think the Bills pull away and they win 27-13. So that gets me to 9-1 on the year.
Okay. And, you know, this is a very good Buccaneers team, and I think they'll win their division this year. And they always play the Bills tough here, you know, especially when they come here. And I think that's going to be the case again. I think this game's going to go like the last one, where, you know, Tampa's got a chance to win, and they're in a position where they could, but the Bills ultimately hang on, pull it out, and win this game against a very difficult opponent. So I have the Bills winning as well. So now I have them at 8-2.
Mm-hmm. And now Thursday, November 20th, which somehow they got another primetime game at 8:15 p.m. I don't know how that schedule worked out, Joe, because teams are only supposed to have one per game, unless that was a flex game. I don't know. That could be the start of a Thursday night flex.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I have the Bills losing at Houston second year in a row by the same score, 24-21, and I got them 9-2.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why the Bills can't win in Houston, but I agree with you on this one. I think every year it seems like the Bills have a slide where people start getting concerned and, they think, okay, is this team really, that good? Are they going to make another run? And I think we'll talk in the next few games. I think that slide is coming, but it starts here. And again, they play the Texans tough, but the Texans show up for this game. They're good at home, and I think the Texans win this game, by again close. I'd say about maybe 6 points, between 3 and 6 points here. It's close, but the Texans take it.
Okay. So I got, let's see, 9-2, and you have we both have 9-2, I think.
That was my yes. No, I have them there at 8-3.
8-3, and I have them 9-2.
Yes.
Okay. So and then guess what? I think they lose their second straight game next week, Sunday, November 30th, 4:25. It's at Pittsburgh. The Bills tend to struggle to play at Pittsburgh as well. But guess what? I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be starting by then. I think, the funny thing is I think they lose to either Will Howard or even Skylar Thompson, because Skylar Thompson, remember, he played us well in that playoff game where we still won. So I think we end up losing to possibly him or Will Howard. I don't think Rodgers is starting by then. And I think the Steelers pull this one off at Acrisure Stadium, 35-31. It's going to be an offensive shootout.
Yeah. Well, again, I'll remind my audience, Jamie and I don't discuss these before the show, but we're right on the same page with this one as well. Again, a second loss in a row, people start getting a little concerned. Bills play a tough game in a tough environment, but just come up short, and the Steelers win this game. So that would make it now 8-4. I have the Bills, and
9-3 for me.
9-3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But here's the funny part. This is Sunday, December 7th, America's Game of the Week on Fox. 4:25 p.m. at home against Joe Cool. Joe no longer Slim Shady Burrow. And I think this is going to be an offensive shootout. This is going to be a game where both offenses score, and in typical Cincinnati fashion, they don't play defense.
You're right.
I think the Bills win this game. It's at home. They're excited to play Burrow. I think the Bills win 49-30.
Wow, that is a very high scoring game. Now, I would much rather play the Bengals in the beginning of the season, because they think the preseason is the first 5 games of the NFL season, of the regular season. So it'd be nice to catch them there. But unfortunately, the Bills are catching them now when they start actually playing and make a playoff push here, which I think they're going to be in the middle of doing. However, I agree with you. I think it's an entertaining game. I think it's high scoring. Like you said, the Bengals don't know how to play defense, and they still don't have a defense. And I think I'm not going to say 49-30, but I could say, I'll say like 38-30, a Bills victory here, where again, it's points are flying all over the place and nobody plays defense, and it's going to be a fun game to watch on national TV, and it's going to, definitely attract some attention. But I think the Bills win a shootout here too, 38-30, something along those lines, and win this game.
Burrow and Allen combined, both pass for 500 yards or something. I don't know.
Right?
Anyway.
Like it'd be like, Miami and the Jets back with O'Brien and Marino, right?
Yeah. Yep. But Joe, you always say that the Bengals think the preseason is the first 5 games of the year. I always said the Bengals think they're playing in the NBA, where they score but they don't play defense.
Right. There you go.
Anyway, Anyway, December 14th, we travel to Gillette Stadium, the Dirty Water, as they call it. Charles River. That if you know that song, if people know that song, by the way, Bossy, You're My Home. To play the New England Patriots, we're gonna be looking to get some chata in this game. And I think the Bills actually blow them out here because this is peak Bills. December, they're on a roll. I think they win 31-10.
Wow. Okay. Now, this is our biggest disagreement. Josh, first of all, thank you for the comment there. They don't have a defense to begin with. I don't know if you're talking about the Bills or the Bengals, but
Bengals.
Okay, I would definitely
He's a
say that.
Steelers guy. It's
Okay.
Adam's son. He's a Steelers guy.
Yeah, I know who he is. I figured you were talking about the Bengals, and again, we appreciate you chiming in there. This is our biggest disagreement because I could see the Bills going into New England. Again, New England, a feisty team. I don't think they're going to be sniffing playoffs at this point. I think they're going to be pretty much out of that picture. But again, a team that's growing, a team that's getting better. We know how Vrabel operates, and I think he's going to have them sky high for this game. I think it's going to be their Super Bowl, and I see the Patriots winning this game. I could see them winning it something like 21-17, somewhere along those lines. And again, that concern I was talking about, the Bills have now lost 3 out of 4. Will they recover? We'll find out in the next few games, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I got the Bills losing this game, going to 9-5.
Mm-hmm. And 9-5, I have 11-3. So okay. This one, believe it or not, it's at Cleveland. But if you listen to Ken, the Bears fan, and which you guys will have the chance to listen to on Open Sports, Mike, and also tomorrow on the Huddle Sports Network. Cleveland, he said, is a tough out. This is actually going to be one of those low-scoring games where the Browns play great field position and they win games that they shouldn't win. I think the Bills lose this one in a old-school defensive battle, 12-9.
Ooh. All right. Well, we're going to disagree on this one again. I agree with you. It's December in Cleveland. The weather's probably going to be a mess. It's going to be cold and cloudy and nasty. And again, I think it's going to be what do you call, not pretty football, an ugly game. I could see the Bills winning something like 17-3 here. Playing good defensively, where really neither team gets anything going offensively. And again, the Bills win ugly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Without too much difficulty. The Browns never get it going, and the Bills win ugly here in a low-scoring game. So I'm going to pick the Bills to win this game and get out of the slump.
And let's remind people the Browns are not exactly Super Bowl favorites, but they're not a pushover. That Jim Schwartz, who we had as our defensive coordinator, his track record. He's amazing with their defense, and he's going to do really well with Mason Graham there because his defenses know how to stop the run better than any defensive coordinator. And they're going to be a competitive team this year. They're not going to be a cakewalk to play against, so Cleveland. They're not. It's just a matter of what their offense is going to do with. And the thing is, I don't even know if Flacco is going to be starting. Then I think either Gabriel or Sanders may be starting by the time they play the Bills. So we'll see.
Yeah, by that time, it could be different.
Yeah. But don't sleep on even Shedeur Sanders. He may be overrated, but like I said, that doesn't mean he may not be a bad quarterback with the Browns because they did the right thing, taking him in the 5th round. And Dylan Gabriel's no joke either. So.
Okay. Now, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there. I still think the Browns are one of the worst teams in the AFC this year. Maybe like 3rd worst, 4th worst, something like that. But we'll see.
I haven't been competitive, though. They're not going to be a pushover to play against, so that because of that defense.
Okay.
So, Guess what? Sunday, December 28th, another Fox game of the week. This is the Super Bowl that really everybody wanted last year, not the Eagles and the Chiefs. And it would have been the Tush Push Bowl that we could have called it, because these are the two teams that know how to run that play the best, the Eagles and the Bills. So this is going to be the regular season 2025 Tush Bowl, Push Bowl in the regular season. As McDermott, as we welcome the defending Super Bowl champion Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles to Buffalo. Again, another team that McDermott coached for, was the defensive coordinator there. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I think Hurts and Allen are going to be pushing up and down the field all game long. This is going to be a situational football, but it's going to be high scoring. I got the Bills winning this game 48-31.
Wow. Well, I think this could be the most exciting game of the season. And do you remember it was a couple of years ago when the Bills went to Philadelphia and they played in an extremely exciting game there that either team could have won, and the Eagles pulled it out. I think it's going to be, again, one of those games here. It's going to go back and forth. Both of these high-quality teams are going to play high-quality football. I think in the end, though, the Bills squeak out a victory in this. And again, a classic game that, again, it's on the Fox, national game. And just like the game a few games ago, I said people are really going to be talking about this one. I think it was the Bengals with the fireworks. This one is just going to be two high-quality teams playing high-quality football, and the Bills winning, between 3 and 6 points here. So I got a Bills victory here.
Yeah, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but it might actually be true, Joe. I think when you got the biggest offensive line in football in Philly, I think you're better off. This is crazy to say. You're better off playing a 3-4 instead of a 4-3, because a 4-3, they're lighter and faster, and they're quicker, but they're harder to get against a big offensive lineman. At least if you run a 3-down against the Eagles, the 3-down linemen they're bigger. You know what I mean? They got to be bigger and stronger up front, and that can work against a huge offensive line like the Eagles. Like, that's why the Cowboys, if you watch their preseason game, they run a multiple. They run a 4-3 and a 3-4.
Oh, wow.
So the 3-4, I think, is going to be for, like, you may see them play 3-man front against the Eagles in week 1 against a huge offensive line. So you never know. It's weird. Anyway, and then last but not least, we say adios to the current Highmark Stadium. Last game at that place. I think the Bills fans are going to show up, rock it at that game. I think we send off Highmark Stadium in the regular season. We sweep the Jets, and I got them going 20. I got them winning 24-7, which means we got them winning all day, every day. Get it? 24-7. And I think the Bills finished 13-4. Now, Joe, what do you have them going against the Jets, and what's your record? I have 13-4, just like last year.
Yeah, I think the Bills are going to be very, very good against the AFC East. The only game that they lose against AFC East opponents I have is that New England game at New England. I think this game, again, the Jets could be fighting for a playoff spot here. And, they could play them tough. But I really think the Bills are going to want to get some momentum going into the playoffs here. Again, like you said, the fans are going to be charged up. The atmosphere is going to be charged up, being the last regular season game at that stadium. I like what you're saying there. I could see it being something like 24-7 along those lines. But the Bills show their domination in the AFC East and end the season on a high note. So I have them winning the AFC East with a 12-5 record.
And I had them also winning the AFC East 6 in a row, right there, 13-4. So there we go, Joe. Great job on that. Anyway, guess what, Joe? It is already that time in our show for a question of the week segment. Would you like to give it a try?
I would certainly like to give it a try.
Okay, Joe, here's your first question for the season 3 premiere of the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room. Always wanted I've been waiting to say that since last year.
Anyway, here we are.
Yep. Well, here we are. Can you guess this NFL player? He threw for 212 touchdown passes, but also 210 picks. He is a Hall of Famer. Is it Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Willie Namath, Kurt Warner?
Darn, that's a tough question. So you said Joe Namath, Kurt Warner. Who were the other two?
Troy Aikman and Terry Bradshaw.
So you figure 232. The first name that popped into my head when you were going through those, I don't know if this is right, but I am going to say Troy Aikman.
No, it was Terry Bradshaw.
Okay. And the only reason I say Bradshaw.
Here's why I'm like you though. I find it surprising because he played during in the mid 1970s. You know, they called it the dead era or whatever, the dead period where offenses were only scoring 17 points per game, and it was basically a grounded pound league. And Terry Bradshaw broke like all kinds of records, even playing by a quarterback, even playing in a run the ball down your throat system, which is what's interesting about it.
And it's funny because it wasn't the touchdown passes, the amount of touchdown passes that surprised me. I didn't think he had that many interceptions. So that's why I thought it was Aikman. I know Aikman, again, was a solid quarterback, Super Bowl champ, et cetera, with a lot of touchdown passes. But I thought he would have more interceptions. So, yeah, excellent question. You stumped me week 1 here, but I got some time to redeem myself.
You do. You absolutely do. I would have gotten that one wrong too, to be honest with you. Just like I said, the style and the play style and the era that Bradshaw played in, and he was able to, break records at the time, even in a, pound the rock ball control offense.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, August 26th? The last Tuesday of August already. How fast is that?
Well, I know how fast it goes because I'm a teacher and I went back to school yesterday. So summer vacation's over for me. So I know how fast it goes. We had our welcome back picnic today and stuff. So anyway, you can find me at Joe Dell Sports there on Twitter X. And in a few minutes, you can find me on Open Mic as well on this same network here.
Mm-hmm. And then you can find me, yours truly, at Bill's Chat 1, at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist at DJ Dog Kicks and theforkbud.com, where I write about all sports. You guys can also check me out on Driving to the Top Productions and also Huddle Sports Network. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and ring the bell for notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top Productions, you can visit us on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys very much for listening. And remember, folks, let's hear it for Tyler Bass making a comeback against the Tampa Bay Bucks in the 3rd preseason game. Let's give him his flowers for making that one-handed grab touchdown and making the 53-man roster Mr. Tyrell Shavers. And also, we'll watch and see if any of these new rule changes make an impact on the 2025 season. But to quote our friend, Chris Berman, who is still at ESPN and is a loyal Bills fan, and he's always going to say this. He said it in the 90s, and he says it now. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. We'll see you next week, folks. Good night.
Yes. Have a great week, everybody.
3, 2, 1.